It's Saturday, the 12th of December, 2020. And welcome back to Seaside's podcast match reaction show. On today's show, I'm joined by Tim and Nick to run the rule of what we've just watched, which was Blackpool versus Oxford United at Bloomfield Road. I'm John Aspinall, and this is the Seaside's podcast match reaction show. Blackpool 0, Oxford United 0.
Well, it's already changed the world. A small town from the north of England with a great tradition.
Good evening, Blackpool fans. Welcome back to the Seasiders podcast. Another show coming thick and fast these days. Match reaction special. Joining us on the virtual studio, as ever, is Nick Smith. Good evening, Nick.
Good evening to you, John.
What drink are you on?
I've got a mixture. I've got a little bit of fizz, and then I'm following that up with an Australia.
A smorgasbord of booze.
Yes. I was hoping it was going to be celebratory fizz, but not quite.
Yeah, I'm on San Miguel again. I got a job, a lot of them, so I'm working my way through them. It never tastes as good when you don't win. What you on, Tim?
Can't get around. It's the last dregs from when I had the second half of the match. So, and then I've got a little G&T going here as well for when I finish that.
G&T chaser. What you all drinking tonight, listeners? Let us know. Let us know in the comments. Right, the game. We've only got 3 of us, so it's gonna be a less comprehensive show this evening. Blackpool 0, Oxford United 0. Let's quickly go through the lineups and see if there's any. There was a couple of surprises in there, which I'm going to bring up the screen in a minute. And the first person I want to come in on this is Nick. So you can just go through the lineup, Nick, for the benefit of the listeners on the audio.
Chris Maxwell, Jordan Gabriel, Marvin Ekpiteta, the Viking, James Husband, Kenny Dougal, Grant Ward, Ben Woodburn, CJ Hamilton, Goal Machine, Gary Medine, and Sully Kai.
So, Nick, what was your initial thoughts on that? Obviously, Critchley's changing from the tried and tested 4-4-2 and dropped Jerry Yates, which was a surprise to me.
It was, yeah. We were all messaging the group this morning, weren't we, saying what we thought the lineup would be, and as usual, none of us got it right. I think Jordan Gabriel coming in isn't necessarily a massive surprise. We've talked about that previously. Obviously, I think the main one for me was Yates being dropped, and also Ben Woodburn getting a start, who hadn't really featured much up to today. And we've got, I think it's Hull on Tuesday, isn't it? So again, games coming thick and fast. So I kind of understand it, but I think with Yates not starting it, him and Medine just work so well together, and I think you lose something obviously with Yates being on the bench, but you also lose something from Medine as well with that link-up play. So a little bit surprising, but at the same time, you can under tinkering a bit if the game's coming thick and fast, and maybe he was doing it as well because he had Oxford in mind, and he does horses for courses, doesn't he? So that may have been some of the thinking, perhaps.
I mean, Tim, coming on to you next. For me, that lineup was the kind of lineup you'd expect away at Fleetwood, which is to keep the game tight, not concede, and maybe nick a goal. But we're at home here, and we're against a good side, but they're not in the best of form. They've got a couple of players missing, and it stunk a bit negative. Not negative, but it was a kind of an away formation for me. And Woodburn, did he deserve his start? I don't know. And on the chat, I was championing the case for Luke Garbutt to start at left back, because I think he's a more attacking threat down the left than the hell's that? James Husband. That's a mute Nick there. He's lost me then. Tim?
Yeah, you come back now. I couldn't hear you for a second.
Right, sorry. What did you hear from me?
Nothing. Oh, I heard about Garbett and then that you sort of started. I got a bit of fizzing noise. So
Yeah, sorry. So, what were your thoughts on that lineup, Tim? I was just saying it was a bit negative in a lineup you expect.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I think Woodburn was probably the biggest surprise, as you've alluded to. I just don't quite understand the breaking up of the Yates-Medine partnership, which has served us so well over the course of the last few games. It baffled me, to be honest. And I think as we go on to speak about the game, I think it cost us. So that's probably I can understand Gabriel. I'd have liked to have seen Garbett myself. Otherwise, I think that's the surprising selection.
I mean, we've got comments coming in from the listeners here. Steve Hutchins says, "Why did Woodburn start?" It's a good question. And also Garbett again. I don't know if this guy on the stream, but I was championing the course for Garbett to start, and I think he should have. What else we got? Dennis Hutch, don't panic. Yates will start on Tuesday. Bison said Woodburn offered an out. Steve Hutchinson again. Woodburn unlikely to keep the shirt. So, listeners, if you've got any more comments about this starting lineup, please do leave them. But now we'll move on to the match itself. Let's get our heads back on there. So, Nick, how do you think we started the game?
I thought we looked a little bit off it.
Oh, God. Nick, you're going to have to get some really horrible interference. Do you want to just drop the call and come back in? Tim, how do you think we started this game?
I thought we started well. We seemed to press well from the early stages. We sort of like the proverbial house on fire, didn't we? Seemed to be well up for it, and we're pushing Oxford back from the start, which is what we wanted to see. So from that perspective, I'd no gripes really. I think probably it's and we've done great on the wings. It's down the middle where we've perhaps just not had the end product. But I thought the way we started was very impressive. I thought.
So Nick, just before we lost you, then your audio's fine now.
Cool.
Tim just said we started in the ascendancy, but as we can see on the Twitter Blackpool FC Twitter feed I've got up here, we didn't really create anything in the first half hour of the game, but we looked the better side, I thought.
Yeah, I think marginally. I thought we took a little bit of time to get going, but then when we did, we looked decent probably from half an hour onwards, and then certainly into the second half, without, like you say, creating too many chances. I know we'll come on to them, but Oxford, they didn't look going forward. They're down there, aren't they? But we wondered whether they were in a bit of a false position. But I wasn't massively impressed with them. I thought, as the game went on, they were there for the taking, really.
Mm. So, Tim, coming to our first real opportunity in the game, if you see on the screen there, we've got on 38 minutes, really good opportunity as Hamilton drills the ball across the box. However, Kai slips when trying to finish. Now, I did notice that a lot of players were slipping throughout the game. Do you not think they had deep enough studs on? Because there was a lot of rain over the last 2 days. And
I don't know if you heard. Did you hear Chizzy? Did you hear Chizzy before the game? He said they'd had a problem with the pitch, and they'd brought a new mower in apparently that brushed it up. So even though they cut the grass the same length that they normally do, it was standing up more. And I literally don't know whether that's got anything to do with it, but I noticed exactly the same thing as you did. There was probably in the game between 5 and 10 situations where we could have been in advantageous positions, and the players slipped as they either received the ball or about to receive the ball. Happened with CJ a few times. Happened with Kai as we've seen there. and there was a few other scenarios as well. And somebody's saying nematodes, but
I was thinking
apparently
that and B. That's exactly what I was thinking. Sorry, Tim.
Chizzy was being a little bit nerdy about it, but in that he was saying actually no, the length of the grass, because he was speaking to the new groundsman who started yesterday, and I think they did it for aesthetic reasons. And it was not the usual mower that they use, and it's specifically done almost to brush the grass up, so it's thicker. But other than that, I can't think, because you'd like to think that they'd get the studs right, but it was very noticeable.
Nick, do you think it affected the game?
I think, well, it certainly did for that chance for Kai, because, you know, he's scored a couple like that from that position, hasn't he? And he just, like I say, he just slipped over at the crucial moment, and he wasn't the only one. So there was definitely something different about it. I thought, had they overwatered it or something, but I thought, well, they wouldn't do that any differently than normal. But there was a few people falling over, definitely. So, yeah.
So, Tim, do you think the fault was Kai's with that opportunity? It was a good ball in from Hamilton, and he slipped when he's about to pull the trigger. So you've got to blame the pitch, really, I think.
Yeah, I don't think you can blame Kai, because obviously he's not slipped on purpose, and I don't think he'll have had the wrong boots on. I think it will be either this surface or just the fact that, you know, obviously it rained quite heavily this morning, didn't it? And just whether the pitch was a bit slippier than they might have expected, who knows? But listen, if it was just him on that one occasion, you might be a bit critical. But when you look through the game and you see it happening so often, I think there's more to it. And so I do think it's probably pitch rather than player in this occasion. So it was frustrating because he was just lined up, wasn't it? He was in a perfect position. Perfect cut, perfect ball across from Hamilton, and you just thought he was nailed on to at least get it on target.
Kai's normally pretty reliable, Nick, in those situations. He never seems to panic, does he? And he kind of just slots in. Yeah,
like I said, he scored a couple like that this season, and you'd no reason to think why he wouldn't make a good connection again. So, like Tim says, I think we put that one down to the pitch rather than the player.
It's an interesting message from Phil Hornby there. Scrafton pretty much tweet, pitches probably don't do it justice, but the grass on the pitch is looking noticeably longer today. So it's not a good start for the new groundsman, is it?
No.
And somebody put on the messages, I think it's right. Apparently, they'd had a problem with worms when they'd cut the grass, but the impression I got from what Chisnell was saying was that it left the pitch looking aesthetically poor. And therefore, they took the decision to effectively you're brushing it. Presumably, they have something on the mower that goes against the grain of the grass and lifts it up and creates a lusher look. But I would rather have a pitch that plays right than looks good.
Yeah. So Mr. Groundsman. Not the best start for you there, but we'd rather have the pitch that you can play on rather than looks good. So take that on board. I'm sure Mr. Sadler will be having a quick word with him about that anyway. Right, Nick, back to the game. After that chance, we had another, as Brett correctly corrected Chizzy on this. On 41 minutes, we had that chance. So it wasn't a chance. It was an opportunity from CJ Hamilton. Great strike. Come off the inside of the post, come and unfortunately bounced out. And Chizzy's going, oh yeah, it's two great opportunity chances for Blackpool. And Brett said, well, it wasn't really a chance. He just created that from nothing. And
he did. Yeah, just like you say, out of nothing, he's just whipped a shot away from nowhere, and keeper's not got to it, and unfortunately, it's hit the post, and he was really unlucky. Did well, and that's what CJ can do, though, isn't it? Out of nothing, he can create a chance.
Very unlucky, Tim, wasn't it, to crash off the post and a snapshot from nothing.
It would have been probably if it had gone in, the best goal this season, wouldn't it? It was an individual effort. It was, to be honest, it was a fantastic technique. And from a player's perspective, you're just disappointed for them that it doesn't get the goal that it deserves, because it was if not the highlight of the game, certainly the highlight of that half, because as you said, the chances were few and far between, and that just it seemed to ignite us a little bit. I thought from that point we seemed to start getting shots off a little bit more, where we were playing plenty of pretty patterns before, but maybe not having that end product. And again, probably going back to your comment, maybe that formation was a bit too defensive. We were very, very much well equipped in midfield to match whatever Oxford could throw at us, but then we're leaving Medine slightly on his own up front, where in recent weeks, months, he's had a strike partner to work with. So arguably, actually, in that scenario, you'd almost think that Yates would have been the better option than Medine, because he's slightly more mobile. But he came. Well, we'll talk about it later on. But when he came on, he didn't seem to be able to get hold of the ball at all. So I don't think the system suits us. It might be. We might look. It's a little bit like, I know, because we did have a better patch in the second half, but we've been talking, how many times do we go on about that when we had that 4-3-3 and variations on it, we weren't getting shots off and we weren't getting chances. Play 4-4-2 and we're peppering the goal. And I do actually think if we'd stuck to the tried and tested of the last few weeks, I think we'd have won at a canter today. So
the words out of my mouth.
I find it quite disappointing.
Yeah. So we did have another great chance, Nick, on 45 minutes on the screen there. It says a great chance for James Husband down left, but he drags his effort wide across goal. He's cut inside, hasn't he? Got inside the right back, and poor decision, really. In the end, he's overcooked it to Medina.
Yeah, I think he got caught in two minds, whether to go for goal or to square it, and ended up doing neither, really. And he just kind of trickled wide. I did wonder whether Gary Medine was, again, perhaps if that's Yates, he's sliding in and getting on the end of it. But if he'd have squared it straight away, Medine's got an open goal, hasn't he? So, but then maybe that's why he's a defender. But a good chance, though, very good chance. And you look at those two in the last 5 minutes, and could have easily have been 1-0 up.
Tim, Medine wasn't happier at the end of that passage of play, was he? He kind of made it known that the ball wasn't.
No, I think. Yeah, I mean, the ball was just probably, if anything, a bit too fast. That is what the issue was at the end. And I mean, actually, I sort of agree with Chisnell here. I think Husband might have been better putting it on target. The keeper had come out. If he'd been on target, it was in, wouldn't it? There was no one between him and the goal.
What do you think he should have done?
If he'd put it on, if he'd put it on target rather than trying to feed it across, I'm pretty certain it'd have gone in, because there was no Oxford defenders around it. The keeper was obviously right out on the edge of the area, and he had two choices. He could have gone. I'll have to see it again, but I think he could have gone left of the keeper and gone up with a strike on goal rather than going right on side. And then I don't think the ball was a poor one. I just think there was too much pace on it. That's what it boiled down to. So I'm not sure I really blame Husband in relation to it. As I said, I think if it had been CJ Hamilton or if it had been Yates, I think they might have got there anyway.
I mean, Tim, as Steve told us yesterday on the Friday night preview show, he identified the right back area as a problem area for Oxford, and if we were going to get any joy, that was the place to do it. So again, it's doubly disappointing for me to not see Garbutt playing and exploiting that weakness of Oxford. And I think, I can't say for certain, but I think if Garbutt had played, I think we'd have probably won this game, because Kai's delivery once again disappointed from set pieces throughout the game.
Yeah, actually, and I thought their right back didn't play too badly as it happened. I thought he had an half decent game. So he obviously stood out a bit, didn't he, with his bandaged head and whatever. So. But yeah, Long is it Long, isn't it? Is he called Long? I think he's called Long. I actually thought he did okay, but maybe we didn't cause him enough problems down that side. I think where we caused the problems, as usual, was on the right hand side, and then the interpassing in midfield. But I didn't think that we, other than through Hamilton, that we necessarily got behind their defence enough today. I think they were overloading
on Hamilton as well on the
4 of
on
them
the-
only when he had all the ball sometime. It was unbelievable. It was like watching those kids' football matches, when the best, there's always one team in there who's got one player who can just dribble through everybody. And all the defenders gravitate to him and just follow him around. It was like incredible the way they knew where the problem was, and that they were on orders at all costs to make sure that he didn't get down that line.
Yeah.
So Nick, it's a great testament to him, really, isn't it?
Yeah, Nick, we've just got a couple more comments coming in from Eddie vis-a-vis the formation. Eddie says the formation was crazy. Why leave a winning formula and go back to what made us ineffective? Honestly, the mind boggles. Followed by, we need to play 4-4-2 and it'll get a better idea of what we need in January. So I think that kind of backs up what we just.
Yeah, Tim said it before, didn't he? I can't disagree with it. We just look far more effective with that formation. And I understand tweaking players here and there, but I think when we're changing the formation to something that served us so well,
Why change it? Why change it?
Yeah. I think it's a missed opportunity today, really.
I think Critcher tries to overcomplicate things with decisions like this, and I think he thinks too much. But you know what I mean? Go on.
Well, I've got a new name. He's the Tinkerman now. He's the Claudio Ranieri of League One, because he's changed things. For me today, he's changed things for no good reason. Why would you undo an 8 out of 9 record and change it? You're changing it, I think, to accommodate players. And I don't know why we're doing that when you should play. You've got your system, and we're accommodating players who haven't, as been alluded to, who arguably haven't done enough to justify you changing the system for them. I mean, look, if you've got the best player in the division, and he plays in a system a certain way, and he's been out injured and he comes back, then yes, change it to accommodate him, because you need him and you need him to be as effective as he could be. But and I've been a fan of Woodburn, I've been his champion, but you don't change a system to accommodate him on the basis of what we've seen at the moment, and you don't take one of your effective strikers out of the equation, because that's who dropped out for him, isn't it? Yates drops out to accommodate Woodburn, and even before. This isn't with the benefit of hindsight. Before the game, we're all basically going, what the fuck, aren't we? Why do that?
Yeah. I mean, Nick, he's not only pulling Yates out of the team, which makes us less effective, and he's also making Medine 50% less effective by taking Yates out of the equation.
Yeah, I said it before, that they need to play with each other. They bring out the best of each other, and taking one of them out, like you say, it's a double whammy. And you could see it, you see how much Medine was missing having Jerry Yates up there. And then when Yates comes on, it's Medine's coming off. So, I mean, we'll come on to the triple sub later, but that was another head scratcher for me, if I'm honest. Okay. And I think it disrupted things.
Okay, let's move on to the second half. As I scroll down, I was going to say Fleetwood. Then Oxford lost their centre half in 52 minutes. John Musino coming on to replace the injured centre half. I think he was that unit that we ID'd tomorrow. Jordan Gabriel laying down the wing. Two chances in 2 minutes, didn't he? Go on. Tim,
apologies, I'm just plugging in. I was just about to say he was a big unit, wasn't he? That I was just plugging in because I've gone on low battery. He was a big unit, wasn't he? That lad at the back, and again, because they've had some defensive issues this season, you may be seeing him going off as an opportunity really for us then to start exploiting the change, and I thought we did. Until the situation that Nick's alluded to that we're going to come on to, where we make wholesale changes and lost the momentum. So obviously we'll come to that. But for me, that was very much a positive for us, because he was, he was a bit of a rock for them, I thought, and I don't quite know what happened with him, but he went down. He wasn't coming back up, was he?
It was a challenge with Medine, wasn't it? It wasn't particularly a bad challenge or anything. I think they banged into each other, and it was his hip by the looks of it, wasn't it?
So Nick, just coming back to these teams, 53 and 55, Jordan Gabriel. He had a decent game for me today, Gabriel. He was a real threat down the right-hand side.
Yeah, he was. He got forward really well, which, we know is a big part of his game. And that chance on 53 minutes, he was in a brilliant position. And I don't know, it was a bit of a disappointing finish, wasn't it? It was just a bit of a weak shot.
Went two minds, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. Didn't test the keeper, unfortunately. But a couple of minutes later, he got in as well. This time, got his head up and
smashed
it. Yeah, drilled it across the box. But unfortunately, there was nobody on the end of it. But yeah, he certainly gives us another dimension going forward.
Just come back to that right back position, Tim. It was not unfortunate. It was a surprise to see Turton dropped. No one really mentioned it, did they?
No, but I mean, maybe that's why he played on Tuesday, knowing that he was going to. I think it must have been in Critchley's mind already, because I think he was the only one who survived from the Saturday game, wasn't he? Who started from I think he was literally. I was going to say Maxwell, but of course, Sims played. So I suspect, obviously, if we think back, obviously the fact he's playing on Tuesday night perhaps gave a hint as to what he was planning to do. And listen, I think Turton's been fantastic this year, but and there will be games, I think, where we'll want him and we'll want Husband. But I do think when we're at home against a team who we think we can go at, that playing the more attacking fullbacks and including one who can deliver a dead ball is something that we've really got to look at, rather than be too concerned about the opposition. I think we can be more concerned, or have them be more concerned about what we're up to, rather than because we're good enough. So it's a positive, it's a positive point. This, we're good enough to go at teams rather than be too concerned about them. And I'd like to see us play those more attacking fullbacks, because Critchley wants to play an attacking formation. You can do that in the 4-4-2. With your attacking fullbacks, can't you? And as long as you play a holding midfield player, you can let them push on.
I guess with a 4-3-3, surely you've got to play your two attacking fullbacks to add more firepower up front. As if you're only playing with a lone striker, you need for the support up there. And it's, for me, you've got to play Garbutt if you're playing a 4-3-3. You have to. And as I've shown time and time again, without him in the team, we're just shit from dead balls. There's no other words to use for it. We're just poor. We just float it in and nothing ever happens. So I want to see Garbutt back in this team. Anyway, rant over. 65 minutes, Nick. We've hit the woodwork for the second time. CJ Hamilton's hit the woodwork from the second time. Deflected off the defender, as you can see there, and it's hit the bar.
Yeah, really unlucky. Broke forward really well. Got his shot away. It'd been interesting to see where it would have ended up if it hadn't got that deflection. But obviously, it's bounced up.
He didn't catch it particularly well, did he? It was weird.
No, it's obviously completely thrown the keeper, and just the way it's gone today, isn't it? It's hit the bar rather than going in the back of the net. And at that point, you're starting to think, is it going to be one of those games where we could still be playing now, and it's just not going to happen? And then I was also thinking, at some point they're going to get a chance, and obviously we'll come on to it. But you're just thinking, are they going to end up with a smash and grab 1-0, and it's just not going to be our day? Because we were playing well second half. I certainly think up until the 3 subs, we were in control. They weren't doing a great deal at all, and we were in the ascendancy. But I thought the subs just it threw it all again for me, really.
So Tim, your bugbear there. So gives you views on the substitutions, as you can see on the screen there. 71 minutes. Kesh Anderson came on for the ineffective one.
To me, that was crying out for Yates as the first one, just to go back to to our tried and tested formation, and I was a bit disappointed. Not no disrespect to Anderson. It was just disappointing for me that we weren't going back to a 4-4-2. And then obviously, as we've seen, within minutes later, we've done the it's time for little Johnny to have his 20 minutes on the pitch bit, haven't we? That you see in junior football, where they make wholesale substitutions to make sure people get a game.
Which,
and
the game's finally poised at 0-0, isn't it? It can go either way. It's fucking bonkers.
Yeah. But it's more bonkers when you're the better team at that point. And I've never, well, I can't say never, but I would say 95 to 99% out of 100, when you make wholesale changes like that, it takes them 15 minutes to bed in, because it's complete. It's almost like putting you in the forward positions. It was almost like a new team out there, and it completely ruined and negated what we've been doing so well up to that point. For me, the only substitution that you should have made at that point would have been to take Kai off for me, and bring Yates on. But because we'd already brought Anderson on, see, I could even have understood Kemp, but not Kemp after Anderson. And anyway, it was baffling. In professional football, it's almost like the last throw of the dice, isn't it? Throwing, when you're getting battered 2 or 3-0, that you bring 3 subs on, almost as like a point to the people you're bringing off, that you've not done. You've not earned your corn today, and I'm going to give 3 of the lads a chance. You don't do it when it's finally poised 0-0, and you're the best team on the pitch. And listen, we saw what happened, didn't we?
Nick, your views on that? As everyone on the stream is just saying, Tony Lawson, Steve Hutchins, they've both said, Tony saying there 3 subs wrecked momentum. Steve saying thought subs interrupted our momentum. Eddie, 100% agree, Tim. Shocking tactical awareness again. Steve's agreeing with you there. And Haymakers as well. So, Nick, do you...
I totally echo it. Yeah, it's just... It completely disrupts things. Like Tim says, they need 10 or 15 minutes to bed in, and you haven't, when they're coming after 78 minutes, you haven't got that time. It's baffling. It's almost like, right, reach into a bag, draw out some plays, and let's chuck them on for the sake of giving people a game. And I don't get it. I really don't. And I think, if you're doing that one at a time over a period of time, a bit more spread out, you can probably understand it over the course of the game. But 3 at once, it just does not work for me, and it completely killed what momentum we had, and we very nearly went on to lose it.
And as Nick's alluded to there, we did really nearly go on to lose. 83 minutes, they brought on a sub. I'll try and pronounce his name. Olamide Shadipo. His first chance, Tim, if you remember this, cut inside down the left, cut inside, but he fired straight at Maxwell. Now, I watched the replay of this, and if he's just played a square ball across the 6-yard box, there's 2 of their players unmarked, bang, it's 1-0. So, as a direct consequence of all these changes, they've come right into the game in the last 10 minutes. And if you've not watched the last 10 minutes, you think they're the better team and they're going to win the game. This chance being won.
Yeah. I mean, up until that point, I'm struggling to remember Maxwell having to do anything, and all of a sudden, as you rightly say, in the last 10 minutes of the game, including the injury time in the 10, we've had a proliferation of chances for them, and we're left chasing the game. And if we'd lost today, that would have been, for me, it would have been catastrophic, because we should have been. We didn't score, but we should have. We deserved to be 1, if not 2 ahead, and it would have been daylight robbery. It'd have been almost like a reverse of the home fixture against Oxford last year, where we robbed them, wouldn't it? It really would have been undeserved, but it would have been of our own making. It's suicidal decisions that we're making that are having, that are foreseeable, that are actually taking the momentum away from us and giving it to the opposition. And it's just, there's a lot of experience You know, a lot of know-how, a lot of experience now in the coaching side, and I just don't know how anybody thinks it's a good idea. I mean, effectively, it's bringing 4 subs on because almost together, because the other one was only a few minutes before it. So effectively, you know, that all the forward positions, we're basically rejigging the whole thing. We're trying to remake the wheel when it's not broken. I'd be interested to know what the logic was.
So if you're making 4 substitutions, you don't know where each player's playing, do you? Unless you've got really drilled into that. You're playing left, you're playing right, you're playing up front, you're playing at the back, and it's just too many, and it's nearly killed us. And Nick, what a save by Chris Maxwell in the dying embers of the game. 90+2. This chance, it was a needless free kick given away from Husband. It really annoyed me.
Yeah. And then you're thinking, oh, here we go. And, you know, decent delivery, to be fair to them. I thought it was poor marking for us. I'm not sure who lost their guy. You just saw the run he made.
Sorry, I'll just interrupt you. He was on the edge of the box and just ran in unmarked and unchallenged into the box. Messina, it was the substitution Tim that came on the head. So just not picked up at all. Sorry, Nick.
Yeah, and he's made a decent connection, to be fair, and he's probably thinking it's in the back of the net. I know I was. An unbelievable save. I'm trying to think back to when I've seen a better one, really. It was absolutely, I mean, that's probably
1970 England versus Brazil.
Gordon Banks. It was Gordon Banks-esque. That's probably save of the season now, you would think, because I'd struggled to see how we could make a better one. It was unbelievable, thankfully, because you know, you can't say they'd have deserved it, even with us making those 3 subs that disrupted things. But yeah, absolutely fantastic save, and particularly when he hadn't had a lot to do. You know, it was only in the last 10 minutes he's had to make a couple of saves, really, and thankfully he did. But that one was, you know, it's right up there for one of the best we'll see, I think.
So Tim, yeah, we nearly threw it away at the end. So what was your views on A, the challenge, B, the lack of marking, and C, the save?
Yeah, well, it was disappointing that we're allowing the chance to happen. As soon as that ball came in, I thought goal, and to see Maxwell pull that off, and obviously he got it onto the post, didn't he? And then it was out from there. It was remarkable. I mean, it's a real. He saved us from defeat, undoubtedly from defeat. I mean, I think we had there's one issue after that where we could have got something out of it, but in reality, you know, you'd have had your head in your hands, wouldn't you, if that had gone in at that point? And we would have been drowning our sorrows tonight. So every credit to Chris Maxwell for me, because I think Nick says, particularly when you've had so little to do during the game, and you know, you can pull off worldy saves as a keeper when your team's getting battered, and you know, and you're getting plenty of chance to get down and to tip things around. But when you're on top and you're having to keep your concentration, you're not touching the ball for 5-10 minutes, or if you know, most certainly not in anger, then you can pull out that in the 92nd minute, whatever it was. Then you know, a big round of applause from me.
So Nick, finally, as the game petered to an end, there was one final incident. 90+5, CJ Hamilton went down close to the edge of the box. Now, watching this in normal motion, I think we're all screaming for a penalty there, and iFollow didn't provide any any replays.
No.
But was it a pen for you at the time?
I did wonder. You've certainly seen him given, but I think it was just out on the edge of the box rather than being in it. And the ref did seem to let quite a lot go today, I thought. Certainly in the first half, I thought he'd lost his whistle. But yeah, it was probably a free kick on the edge of the box.
Tim, what was your initial thoughts when you saw CJ hit the deck?
I could see why it wasn't given, but I thought it was in the area. I think it was one of the patrons said that, was it Matt that said he rewound it and watched it again?
It was me, Tim.
Oh, it was you, was it? It was you. I couldn't. Obviously, I've there's various messages coming. I wasn't particularly paying attention to who'd sent it, but I had noticed that somebody had said they'd rewound it, and it was actually just on the edge. And you see it plenty of times, don't you, where the actual player, the momentum, takes them into the area. Actually, Sam had. I thought he was going to come on, but Sam walked through the door. He was at the game doing as a photographer. And he said it was a Stonewall free kick. There's no shadow of a doubt that there was a foul. So the only question was it a free kick or was it a penalty? And quite why the referee didn't give anything at all is beyond me. It seemed fairly clear cut that he was hauled down.
Yeah, I mean, I concur with that. As probably every Blackpool fan was doing at the time, I was shouting for a penalty. But as I said, Tim, I was watching the game on a laptop, so I actually rewound it. You can do that if you're watching on the computer. I rewound the action and watched it again. It was clearly outside, but it was clearly a foul. So why he's not given anything? It's a head scratcher nonetheless. So yeah, just summarising the game, I think frustrating for me is a good way to describe that. A game we should have won. Was it if it were not for a lot of not meddling? What's the correct word? I think it was just trying to be a bit too
tinkering.
Tinkering, yeah, tinkering. But Phil Hornby just inject some positivity. Says Blackpool in the last 10 games we've conceded just 4 goals in 900 minutes of League and Cup football. 3 of them coming at Doncaster. So Nick, it's a great platform to build on, isn't it? So we can't be too disheartened.
No, that's it. Is that 5 clean sheets in a row now, I think, something like that. So, whilst ever you're doing that, you've always got a chance, haven't you? And it's not like we're not creating chances. We've hit the woodwork twice today and could have scored with a bit better decision making maybe in that final third. So there's still a lot of positives. It's frustrating because I think they were there for the taking today. But another tough game coming up on Tuesday. But it's a decent run we're on, and I'm sure we'll go into it with confidence. Just play 4-4-2.
Interesting comment here, Tim. On the radio, Critch stated the players were more upset about the handball, which was nailed on. I've forgotten about
that. When was? Oh, yeah, I vaguely remember it. Yeah, they were very insistent at the time, weren't they?
They were. Yeah, AMAC agrees with us. 2 points lost for today. So we've got a good game as Nick said to bounce back against Hull. It'll be a real test. But just to close this game off, let's do some player ratings. So, as we've done on the previous show, we've gone around the starting lineup and rated each player. So, Nick, let's start with you. Let's get that off. Chris Maxwell. So it gives you a rating out of 10. We'll do the man of the match. We'll do the man of the match at the end, I think, because it was a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
So just give you Chris Maxwell.
He's not had a lot to do, but what he did do, he did extremely well. So I think for that save, you've got to give him a 9 because it was world class.
Tim,
you want the scores on this one? Do you? I thought we were doing alternate ones. I would agree. I'd concur. Just for that save alone, everything else was tidy. I came out of his area a couple of times and headed and found feet with things when he was when they got behind our defence. But that save just gives him a 9. He could have let 5 goals in, and if he makes that save, he gets a 9 for me.
You are right, actually. I'll give you that. Yeah, so we normally alternate. So sorry about that. Gabriel, Nick, I haven't got a graphic for him for some reason. So Jordan Gabriel.
I thought he did well. Thought he got forward well. Gave us an attacking option. Got into some good positions. A couple of times where maybe he could have got his head up and made a different decision. But I thought he had a decent game. I'll give him 8 out of 10.
Big Marv, Tim.
Yes, solid today. Perhaps without being spectacular. I'm struggling as to whether to give him a 7 or an 8 because I don't want 7 to be seen as negative. I think they had a solid game, but I don't think they actually had a huge amount to do. I'm going to go 7, I think. But listen, they kept a clean sheet, so I thought he did his job again today. fantastic stuff. He's improved, keeps on improving, doesn't he? At leaps and bounds.
Oh, guess who scored today, by the way, for Accrington?
Michael Nottingham. I think he's got a couple, hasn't he, this season?
Yeah, be interested to see what he plays like when we play them. Right, Nick, the Viking.
Similar to Marv, I thought, we didn't have loads to do, but what he did do, he did pretty solidly and well. It's a clean sheet, so I'm going to give it a 7, a positive 7.
James' husband, Tim.
I think again, I think the whole of the back four have done well. I think Gabriel was the pick of the bunch, but I thought he was solid. He did his job. A couple of mistakes here and there, but I thought he actually was reasonably positive going forward. So it's a solid 7.
Dougal, Nick. Kenny Dougal.
Yeah, I thought it probably wasn't his best game. I'd say maybe his worst game for us, but that's by his very high standards. Certainly wasn't poor by any stretch of the imagination. I'd probably go 7 again, I think.
7. Tim. Oh, where's Ward? He's not on there either. Mr. Ward, Tim. He hasn't got a graphic for some reason either.
Yeah, I thought I don't think he did anything outstanding, but I don't think he did anything. It's not a negative. It's just I think for a large part of that game, our midfield dominated theirs, and he was part of that, wasn't he? And I agree with Nick's comments. I think Dougal was not at the standards that we've seen in recent weeks, but that can't be a criticism because the standard he was at was off the scale. So I think they're all solid without being spectacular today. So another 7.
Just found him and uploaded him. I don't know why he's not on there. Nick, Ben Woodburn. This one's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it took him a while to get going. Some of the stuff he did was okay, but I don't think he warrants a start for me. And I didn't really see anything today that really changed my mind. Is 6 a bit harsh? I don't know. But I can't say he was effective as Dougal and Ward, so I'm gonna go with 6.
As Tim, CJ.
I thought of the forward players, he was the most effective today, not for the first time. His ability to get down the wing in the way that he normally likes to was severely compromised because every time he seemed to get the ball, he as we spoke about before, he had most certainly 2, if not 3, and on occasions 4 players surrounding him, which makes it very, very difficult. But I particularly like, and even though it was deflected, I like the fact that with his second strike that we spoke about, he came inside and was positive when he did come inside. So he's shown he's not a one-trick pony and just going down the wing and using his pace. So I found that quite pleasing. So I'm going to give him an 8. I think he had a very good game today, did CJ.
Guy Maydeen, goal machine, Nick.
Yeah, not today, unfortunately, but I think some of that was down to not having Jerry Yates alongside him. Didn't do a lot wrong, but it was a bit of a frustrating day for him, I think. I'll go 7. 7.
Sully Kai Tim, just to cap things off.
Yeah, dead ball delivery wasn't good today, was it? And we didn't really see any magic. It's not a bad performance, but it's lukewarm, isn't it? So I'm gonna go with a 6. I think he's played better. He will play better. But today was the Kai that probably wouldn't get a start if he played like that every week.
Right, which brings us nicely on to man of the match. So who's your mom, Nick? He's gone quiet. He's turned himself off. You've muted your
He's
mic.
muted himself.
Apologies. CJ, everything went through him. He's hit the post, he's hit the bar. Like Tim said, they put 2, 3, even 4 players on him, and he's still a dangerous player. So, yeah, CJ for me.
Nick, just drop off and come in again because the mic's gone weird. Tim, who's your man of the match?
I think Nick makes a valid point about CJ. I think he was very effective. However, I'm going to go with Maxwell because I think when a keeper pulls off a save like that, and it saves you a point when you should have had 3, I think he deserves it. And so every credit, Chris. That one, I think we'll remember that save for quite a long time, and you deserve the man of the match award for it.
I was torn between. Well, I was going to give it to Gabriel before Maxwell made that save, and it's not often that you give the man of the match award to goalkeepers, is it? So I think I agree with you, Tim. He's saved us a point there, and possibly 3 if we'd have gone on to score. So Chris Maxwell gets my man of the match. Nick, you back with us? No. Can't hear you. Right, next up, Tim, we've got Hull at home Tuesday night. Perfect opportunity to show some bounce back ability from this draw. And I think we should really play an attacking lineup and go for them rather than play this muted 4-3-3 system.
Yeah, they've had a couple of poorer results recently, haven't they? They drew with Oxford last Saturday, didn't they? And they've lost to Shrewsbury today. So I think so. Or they were losing to Shrewsbury anyway. It's probably good. Hopefully, it's a good time to play them. All I want to say to Critch is 4-4-2.
Or in the words of Mark Bassett, 4-4-2. Nick, your thoughts on Hull if you're still with us? No, he's not.
No,
Check your settings.
Listen, we don't want to be seen to be too critical, do we? But the reason we're being critical is because we know that we are now. We've got a team who man for man are often better than the opposition. Yeah, so it's a little bit frustrating when tactical decisions we think have probably cost us points. But let's keep. I don't want to be seen to be overly negative because I'm really, really pleased with the way that we're playing. But yeah, when you don't win a game that you really deserve to win, it's hard not to sort of mention the reasons why. But 3 or 4 weeks ago, if we were playing Hull, I'd have been really worried. I'm not worried now because I think we've got a great opportunity in the second half of this. Well, not in the second half, the second 2/3 of this season to get ourselves into those promotion spots. We can do it, but we need to play the way that's got us out of the bottom 4 to where we are, where we've got a springboard for the playoffs. And why don't change a winning formula? There's no need to. It's pointless.
I think Jeff Embry's nailed it there with that comment. Don't overthink it. Play your best players. Use the system that works.
Indeed.
Nick's back.
Yeah, I find it helps if you turn your microphone back on.
So anything to add, Nick, just before we go?
No, I think like Jeff just said, and Tim said, 4-4-2, play our best players. Don't tinker too much. Don't stick 3 subs on after 75 minutes. We're on a good run, another clean sheet. If we perform to the best of our ability, there's no reason why we won't get 3 points.
On that note, I think we're going to sign off. So yeah, we're coming back on the 6:06 on Tuesday at... Is it 7 o'clock kicker? Or is it 7:45? Because I've noticed they're going to start changing. If it's
changing because fans are back in the grounds, aren't they? Is that why they're doing it?
Yeah,
they're starting to come back.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll speaking to everyone on this stream on Tuesday. So if you are going to join us there, that'll be great. Thanks for all your comments this evening, everybody. It really is appreciated. Makes the show better. Thanks to everyone who's listened on the audio podcast. And all that remains to be said is thanks for downloading, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. And we'll speak to you on Tuesday night. Oh, and one more thing. If you are watching this, if you've not pressed the like button, helps us get exposure. Press the subscribe button. Helps us get exposure, helps us grow. So please do that now. It really helps us out. And all that remains to be said now is thanks for watching, thanks for downloading, and up the pool.
Up the pool.
Up the pool.
Ali's already changed the world. Ali's already changed the world. Small town from the north of England with a great tradition. Change the world, change the world, change the world.